If you are privy or after hearing this are privy, I recommend you send this to somebody because maybe if more people would realize this, we would distance ourselves further from the politics, which are, good Lord, I don't want to start. The left and the right problem is not, it's not a left and right problem anymore. Somewhere along the way in the last however many years, a certain deep state organization has infiltrated. Well, not they were already there, but they've used basically their new modern set of tools, right? Like MK Ultra was the '60s. This is 2015, 2020, 2025. They have basically executed a campaign to radicalize young people in favor of America because 20 years ago, people were extremely anti-America. And this is still happening. I don't know, nobody really does, aside from like maybe a few people who have like a perspective on all the various compartments that are at play here. But because Trump plays into this. And then the fact that certain people don't want Trump around also plays into this. But realize that probably as many people who don't want Trump around want him around, and he wouldn't be around if they didn't, somehow like egg this along. There's got to be powerful people behind it. There just has to be. The collapse of the left is very clearly due to this, long-term suppression of ideas. I am currently dealing with I guess you would call it a case involving a certain person and a certain organization that is very, very well known, and that person is responsible for the creation of said organization, but has somehow avoided being publicly credited and has destroyed every single person who has ever tried to connect him to it. And that really goes to show the state, and especially in America, of the legal system, because either people will sue that person for gang stalking and they'll lose, right? Because that this individual in question employs all kinds of tactics to intimidate people to make them stay away. And also, he then goes and sues anybody who comes after him. And he wins. And in certain public cases, big high profile cases, and certain cases that involve, stuff that is irrelevant to powerful parties, people, you can expect more or less general justice, right, in America. But outside of that, you can't. And when you're talking about like basically equality, because here's what Republicans do. Republicans will tell you that they support equality. They will do like the classic, influencer public figure push, if you will, of like going out into public, kissing babies, shaking hands, maybe cutting checks for starving people, or Trump has actually been down that road. He is trying to right now, what Trump is doing is solidifying himself. He wants to be the best president of all time. And I'll tell you what, I got to give him this. He's way smarter than I thought. He is way smarter than I thought. And also, I think he's been thinking about this all his life. He has been thinking about presidency all his life. And that first presidency, everything he did in that first presidency was not an accident. The only thing that was an accident is that he didn't get to cleanly move into a second term. That was the only thing that was an accident for him. It's nuts to me. But they make these promises. They paint you this picture. They tell you that they're this great guy in the classic style of Trump. You know, Trump going out, meeting the public, seeming like this good dude, and then behind the curtains, he's all into adultery and he's grabbing her by the pussy, and you know, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that was Trump. That was Trump the whole fucking time, buddy. That's Mr. Steal Your Girl." And like Mr. Steal anybody's girl. Maybe he's past that day now, but like he was really a down dirty dickhead. And it wasn't a secret. That was never a secret. He did it on national news. He did it to a news anchor while he was talking about her husband. And like her husband was like, "No, it's cool." Because again, that's just how these people are. They are really, really shallow, and you know, like they are investing every ounce of intelligence they have and every ounce of energy they can spend on creating more, in basically being on the good side of the people that they're in business with. And now, I mean, the Republic. Does anybody get this? The Republic, Republicans. This is a republic. The Republican Democrat thing was always a lie. Look at the fucking national anthem. "And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible," so on and so forth. Get me? So what is a Republican? A Republican is just a politician. That's it. That's it. A Democrat is just a politician. The whole opposite thing is just because they used to be truly like opposite, I guess, and they still maintain this. But to be a Republican, all it means is that you're a fucking politician. All it means to be in another party, like, is just that you're not in line with the views of Republicans. Now, to, I guess how you say, like, to be, not to be a Republican, but the average Republican is just a piece of shit. I mean, I shouldn't say that because it's 2025 and a lot more people are considering themselves Republican. But take like 10 years ago, the average Republican was like your average beer belly dude who fucking, you know, puts back a 12-pack every night and treats his wife like shit, you know. And I say average dude because I'm talking about like the dude, right? The guy that I would relate to, the guy that anybody who I'm talking to on like a personal, like man-to-man basis, they would relate to. And now being a Republican is more so just being a generally sensible, like having a generally sensible viewpoint on politics, because Democrats are not about anything anymore. They're just about being against Republicans. And Democrats in general, aside, like, I'm a big Bernie Sanders guy, but fucking where the fuck Bernie Sanders? It's like Bernie Sanders is the last of them. Like that election, fucking when Trump won the first time, that election, I voted for Bernie in the primaries, and that was that seems to be the very end of real Democratic politicians. But like, to be clear, this isn't really a democracy. You can't appeal a law. Like in court, the only democratic part of it is that they are going to democratically determine whether or not you are guilty. And when you are guilty, they are going to, swiftly and directly apply punishment regardless of whether or not you think you're right. And you cannot appeal based on that. That is not a thing. In a republic, there are rules and laws, and they are upheld by the police. Now, it can be a police state or it can just be a state. The United States is a republic which covers many states, so it's just a grand unified state. It was never a democracy. You only think it's a democracy because of elections, but then elections are determined by super PACs. So, and how is this like, dude? Am I gonna, like, is somebody gonna come and fucking shoot me now that I said this? Because I've never heard anybody explain it this way before. And like, I'm making this video because it's occurring to me right now. Like, wow, I didn't I didn't really realize, like, I'm watching the male loneliness epidemic by Shoe on Head, and she's talking about how the left and the right, basically, like, men, young men especially, have moved over from the left to the right. And I remember like a clip of somebody explaining that they could do this, or they were going to do this, like back in 2014. And I don't remember where. I don't know if it had anything to do with like an organization or if it was just a random person, but it happened. It happened. Like, democratic ideas have been basically alienated and shamed, and people are like in this very subtle way being moved away from them. And Republicans are screaming out like, you're going to have a house, you're going to have freedom, you're going to have decentralized currency, you're going to have more fair laws to you, and like, just in general, you're going to have money and you're going to be happy and you're going to get all the bitches because you're going to have money. That's really what it is about, is you're going to have money. And that's why it's so attractive to everybody, because man, fucking like, honestly, your entire childhood sucks. And I think it would make a lot more sense, like, for anybody who's wondering why it is that like you have this deep, you know, like set of urges that come over you when you're 14 to 18, and it seems to be this like cascade where you suddenly become the shallow, shitty adult that you never thought you were going to be when you were like 6. You remember that, right? You want to know why? Read Plato's Republic. I am telling you, read Plato's Republic and you will understand. You will understand. You'll realize you are a soldier. You are always a soldier. And if you fail to do that, if you fail to meet that standard, there are all kinds of little plots, little side, like a factory where you have a conveyor belt, and all the things that aren't heavy enough, they fall off to the side, and there's bins off to the side, and those bins are all the different things in society that have been, you know, kind of erected for people to take up and do. And like, it's nice because it all makes money. And that's really what it's for, is on, you know, it's being generated from a top down, like, think about this. The world as you know it now is being created from the top to the bottom. It has been that way for a very, very long time. It's not a new thing. You look out into nature and you assume, no, it's built from the bottom up. You look out at, you know, success stories and people that you can relate to because you're on the bottom, and you think, no, it's bottom up because look at all these people who are doing these bottom up things. But actually, society was designed and it has been implemented from a top down, like, or in a top down sense for a long time now. Only when, on a rare occasion, a country gets created from scratch, which I think America is like one of the only examples of that. And most recently, society is being created from the top down by only a very select few organizations. Whereas in the last like 1,000, 2,000, however many thousands of years this has been happening, it's you know, just like a thing that happens in nature, where there's a structure already erected, something that facilitates, I guess, it's like a shell for a crab, but what it is a society, right? And like, somebody kind of empties it out or partially empties it out, and then they go and they take it over, they redesign it, and they fill it back up. And you see this in the modern day with fucking coups. You see this with the CIA going in and completely taking over countries without anybody even noticing. You see that in the French Revolution. You know, you see it in the American Revolution. You see it in modern day politics now every 4 years. Actually, you see it happening before your eyes every single day. Not enough people realize what's going on and how important it is to realize what's going on and how much money is being spent to make you, the average anybody, the average viewer, invested in basically anybody who is like pro-state, like, don't get that confused. Trump is very pro-state. Everybody's like, oh, well, Trump's against the CIA, Trump's against this, Trump's against that, he's against the media. You know, like, how can anybody get into the complexities of why? There's obviously a reason, but you still need to peep game, and you can't just take that man at his word. Are you kidding me? You don't even know him. Like, I seriously doubt, like, everybody acts like, oh, you know, I know this guy now. He's a president and he's a TV personality. No, you do not know this guy. At the end of his last presidency, he was putting in money to companies who make missiles because he was sending out fucking bombs, because that's his whole game. Like, yeah, you know, he's doing his job. But he's doing his job in a way that serves him. Realize that. Like, because I'm not a Trump fan, and I know a lot of Trump haters. I shouldn't put that in quotes. They're haters. A lot of Trump haters take it to extremes. You don't need to take it to an extreme. I'm not going to take it to an extreme because it's not necessary. But then there are certain cases where it is. Regardless, Trump is doing his job, again, in a way that serves him. That doesn't make him a great president. That just means that he's doing his job. And funny enough, all the other presidents, I don't know how this gets pulled off or why, but they're just, there's a lot of shit going on, you know? But he's the perfect vessel. Just realize that, to get people. It used to be like not an alien concept. The whole Illuminati thing was popular because everybody was worried that the world was going to get taken over by this shallow, money-centric, soulless parasite. And now it's like everybody actually got the parasite and forgot. I'm telling you, you need to deworm yourself. Think about it. Think about how many major, potentially world-changing movements actually just flopped because of fucking weirdos. Why did that happen? It's not just because there are only weirdos in those fucking circles. No, it's because fringe groups literally get infiltrated by people who either are literally agents or unknowingly being handled by people who are encouraging them to basically ruin movements. Everybody acts though like the government gave up. Like they gave up pushing against people. Like they gave up being racist. How? They upgraded. Now it's not just about race, even though that still pervades. That's still all over. It's just people are being much more smart about it. Now it's about just, I'm better than you. That they're better than us. So like they're gonna have slaves, but they're gonna do it in such a way that's like, you know, it's bourgeois. It's nice. It's fancy. Everybody likes it. But it's going to be that situation where they make 99.9999% of the profit and the people take 0.000001. And they live on that 0.0001. And, you know, the way they're achieving that is not only by making more money, but also by creating a world where products are sold to you, and they're sold to you like quality control right now, as far as I can tell, everywhere is at an all-time low. That's not like a politics thing necessarily. Well, I guess it kind of is, probably partly. I don't know. I just say that. I don't know. I just know it's at an all-time low because you see constantly huge quality control problems. And then just in general, the stuff that we get sold that we can pay for reasonably is garbage. It's fucking garbage. I don't know the whole situation with, you know, livestock and farmers and things, but I live in the city. So that's really all I know about it. And I know that, let me tell you this, because some people will bring this into the conversation. Well, it's, you could still go buy apples, bro. You could still do this. You could still do that. What the problem is what the kids are being raised on. They're being raised on like me. I was raised on those Lunchables, PB and like the PB&J things that they found later had fucking like trace amounts of lead in them, which is unacceptable because even trace amounts of lead can completely fuck your brain for life. Yeah, I grew up eating that shit, and everybody else did too. And even if I had been like some, you know, oh, I like fruit, I like healthy food, which I kind of was. I would eat like full meals and shit, and I just like I had a taste for decent food. I wasn't really a big candy person, but I still had to eat the shit at school. No, when does anybody ever even talk about this? Like, what's the problem with American people? Why are they so stupid? Why are they so mentally maladjusted? Because we're poisoning them with fucking food when they're kids in school. And nobody's talking about this. Nobody's really fighting against it. Anybody who does gets fucking silenced. They get called conspiracy theorists. Suddenly it's cool. Everybody is a Republican. That makes no fucking sense to me. When I was a teenager, everybody was a fucking Democrat. That was the cool shit. You know why? Because being a Democrat meant you were Democratic and the average Republican was just a piece of shit. And now it's like, the Republican pieces of shit have managed to embed themselves inside of this fortress of people that they've brought on using promises that I guarantee you are fucking nonsense. They're going to hold this up for some amount of time, however much suits them, until the point where they don't need to. They just don't need to because everything is so much in their favor that they don't have to. You will be reminded that this is a republic. It's just a government. That's all a republic is. It's a government with fucking laws. In fact, just so that I'm minding my P's and Q's, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to go to the web. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, no, this is perfect because I'll expand on this. Because some people will think like, oh, this makes it democratic, and a republic based on the Latin phrase, res publica, is a state in which political power rests with the public, typically through the representatives, in contrast to a monarchy. Okay, now you're getting somewhere. It is a state. Exactly like I said, a republic is just a state. This is one massive grand unified state. And your republic is managed by the police because the police are your representatives. But the republic now, this is exactly why this is so important. The republic now is built to make you and it's basically, it wants you to support it. It's doing everything it can, spending every dollar it can to make you support it, while convincing you that a republic does not involve you, the public, in the way that the definition should allow for. Because in a republic, the public determines the rules and laws. The public determines how the police should operate. But obviously, if you're a body cam observer like me, you know that in this country, that is not true. This is not a democracy. Our votes do not matter. Not in the presidency. Because the democracy is specifically in reference to that, the presidential election. Now, there are other positions that you can elect, and those are democratic. I'd say those are democratic systems. But this is a republic. So to be a Republican, it doesn't mean shit. Never meant shit, but it especially doesn't mean shit now.